All right. So we'll give a few minutes for the couple people that were on because it wasn't really that many. I guess people out at Sunday service.
Mm-mm.
No, we had a brother who knew he was in Israel, but his father had a church that he was pastor over. So and he would have the Shabbat lessons, and then he would go play drums in his pastor's church
Who was
on
his father?
Sunday.
The pastor was his father.
Right.
Wow.
And then his father. His father was
A bishop,
a pastor of a mega
pastor of a
church
mega.
in Atlanta somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure did. Had people.
All right, so we're just going to
dancing to
give a few
Bacchus.
moments. It's pretty windy here, so the internet may have had some whatever, but we know it's voice and vice. That's what it really is. So we come against voice and vice in the mighty name of Yeshua.
That's right.
Because that's who it is. All right, so we're just going to take a few moments and then we're going to read Matthew, the 26th chapter, in the 17th verse in a moment.
I know it's not our opinion.
We're live. All right, let's read Matthew chapter 26, verse 17.
Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yeshua, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
All right, so we were talking about how the centurion had faith. And then what Yeshua said was that, but the children of the kingdom will be cast out into outer darkness. So let's see these children. This was unleavened. Let's go to verses 26 to 29.
Matthew chapter 26, verse 26. And as they were eating, Yeshua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
Mm-hmm.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
So he said, I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. I drink it new with you. He's not talking about wine. He's not even talking about Passover.
That's right.
Passover dies. Unleavened dies. First fruits dies. Tabernacle dies. Trumpets die. Everything dies. Why? Because he gave man 7 days to get this right. In my Father's kingdom, he says, I drink it new with you. There's not going to be a Passover. There's not going to be unleavened. There's not going to be a first fruits. Why? Because you don't need salvation in the New Jerusalem. There won't be a need for it. But why does Yeshua continually say this? It's because he wants us to understand this. We have to understand this. Let's get more of an understanding. Revelation 21. And we're going to read verses 1 to 4. Read that.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
All right. The first heaven and the first earth were passed away. That's this. That's what we're sitting on right now. And there was no more sea. You know what I'm going to ask? What does sea mean? People. Right? There was no more people. Verse 2.
And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
So John is seeing the New Jerusalem come down. That's why there's no more people. The New Jerusalem is coming down. Right? No more. This is passed away. New heaven, new earth. That's the New Jerusalem. You can read about that in Hebrews, the first chapter, verse 2. Verse 3.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them.
Look what he said. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. What does that mean? That means you have transformed into a God body. The tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. He cannot live with you in that flesh and blood body. He can't live with you because sin is in that flesh and blood body. He can't do it. And I know they say that he should be his people, but what else is it going to say? Verse 4.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death.
There shall be no more death because there's no more flesh and blood bodies. Keep going.
Neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
The former things are passed away. What is the Bible saying? What did Yeshua say about those? Hey, go out and get those that are who? Lame. Those that are who?
Blind.
Sick. Those that are who? Blind. Those that are who? Halted. Go out and get them. Yeah. Because then, here in verse 4, they're not going to be blind, halted, hithered, misfigured.
Yeah.
None of it. When is this going to happen? 8th day. No more death. Yeshua got rid of death so that the Father can come down. Death can't be in the midst of Ahia. Death can't be in the midst of Ahia. No more. So in order for the New Jerusalem to come down, death has to die. Let's go over to Revelation 21 and read verse 24. Death has to die. We cannot be in these flesh and blood bodies. This is why it is so important. So important that we be that 5 wise virgins. We have to do what is expected of us to do. We must do that, or you're going to be on the opposite side of this. And we can't, we can't. Let's read that. Revelation 21 and 24.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
This is what everyone don't understand. Everybody will be back to where their ancestors from the 7 days. Everybody will be back. You got to understand creation. To understand this, you are Israel. And when the wilderness comes, you're going to go back. And you got to get it right. Let's go to John chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 and 2. Read the verse exactly as it is, please.
John chapter 7, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
After these things,
No, you're shy. I should have clarified that.
After these
And
things,
that's only verse 1.
after these things, Yeshua walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill
All
him.
right, so they sought to kill him. All right, verse 2.
Now the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand.
All right, so that was a typo. That was an error. Because we read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, that these feasts are the Lord's. They're not people feasts. Skip down to verse 14, and we're going to read verse 14.
Verse 14. Now about the midst of the feast, Yeshua went up into the temple and taught.
Let's see what he said. Let's get down to verse 37 and read verses 37 and 38.
John chapter 7, verse 37. And the last day, that great day of the feast, Yeshua stood and cried, saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
The Feast of Tabernacles, 7 days. The 8th day is the great day.
That's right.
The 8th day is the great day. Yeshua said that great day of the feast. Come. When that day comes, it all is ended. Everything. He says, come. We quoted Revelation earlier. Come. Let's go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And we're going to read verses 9 to 12. And I showed you there's another big significant event that happened that represents the 8th day feast. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. Not now, though. Leviticus 23 and 9. Let's read that.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wait. Verse 12, and ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheep and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord.
Again, Yeshua gives man 7 days. A new day is the 8th day. Yeshua on the 8th day. Skip down to verse 15 and let's read verses 15 and 16.
Verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Right. So you could not take part in the food, just like Mary could not touch Yeshua when he presented himself to her. Touch me not, Mary. I've not ascended unto my Father. When this is done, there is no more flesh and blood body. Yeshua at that point was not a flesh and blood body. Mary could not touch him because he was not a flesh and blood body. She was sin, he was not. Prior to him going on the cross, sure, if she wanted to shake his hand, that's more than acceptable. But when he came in front of Mary, and Mary told Mary, touch me not. It's because he was not a flesh and blood body. She was still corrupt.
I got some to say about that.
Yeshua and man will be presented to who? Ahaya. Yes, Yeshua is going to be presented to a higher. Man is going to be presented to a higher. It's the first day of something else going to happen. Yeshua is presented. Man is presented. Everything is presented to a higher for a higher to accept man. And you can't do it in this flesh and blood body. Yes.
So when they was in the room and the door was locked and Yeshua appeared,
Right?
and Thomas said, he told Thomas to do what?
What did he tell Thomas to do?
Because Thomas didn't believe that he had risen. He didn't believe it was Yeshua. So he told the doubting Thomas to do what?
What did he tell him to do? Book, chapter, and verse. What did he tell doubting Thomas to do?
Yeah, I gotta make sure y'all paying attention. Y'all just sitting up here, just letting it fly. Y'all gotta pay attention. Y'all know what he told him to do? What he said? Say it.
Well, he said first.
Okay.
It's the book of John, chapter 20, verse 27. Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing.
So how?
No. Keep reading. Did Thomas do it?
Verse 28. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my God.
He answered. Did he do it? Keep reading.
Yeshua saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
There you go. Did Thomas touch? Did Thomas touch and thrust it? Yeshua told him to, but that would show Thomas unbelief even more.
Like, where y'all at? Come on now. Y'all sitting up here asleep. You gotta wake them up.
Right.
Y'all sleeping on this now. Come on.
Because I said, he told Mary, touch me not.
Right.
Touch me not.
So why is it that he told Mary, touch me not, but then he told Thomas, thrust your hand here? Why would he say that? Why would that be okay?
What is he doing? What is Yeshua doing, not Thomas?
Just in his Lord's feet.
Right?
Because he always said when he walked the earth, he always told them, oh, ye of little faith. He always said it. How much long should I suffer with you? Oh, ye of little faith. So if he would have actually did it, that would have showed that Thomas was a non-believer.
Right.
But why
But
would
Thomas,
he tell Mary, touch me not? And then told Thomas, put your hand here.
Because Mary believed.
Yeah.
Mary believed. She was the one that
now.
ran, I believe she was the one, ran to the disciples and said, hey, he's risen.
Yes.
Thomas, he had some issues, but not after that. All right. Wonderful teaching moment. So Yeshua presents the sheaf of the first fruits. He had to be accepted by a higher after he was resurrected from the dead. He came out day 7, went to the Father, day 8. And what happened with us? When we are accepted by the Father, the 8th day, when the New Jerusalem comes down. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 43, and let's read verses 25 to 27. And let's see if what I just said is scripture. Ezekiel chapter 43, verses 25 to 27. Let's see that. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 43, verse
Before we
25.
get the scripture, remember what I said about Ezekiel yesterday? Ezekiel 40 to Ezekiel 49. What does it represent? Okay. Read it on your own time. Let's get it. Ezekiel 43:25.
7 days shalt thou prepare every day a goat for a sin offering.
7 days. Go ahead.
They shall also prepare a young bullock and a ram out of the flock without blemish.
Verse 26.
7 days
7 days again. Go ahead.
shall they purge the altar and purify it.
Purify. Keep going.
And they shall consecrate themselves.
They shall consecrate themselves. 7 days. Keep reading.
And when these days are expired, it shall be
Yes.
that upon the 8th day.
Upon the what?
8th day.
Upon the what?
8th day.
Upon what?
8th day.
8th day. Keep going.
And so forth.
Yes.
The priest shall make your burnt offerings
Mhm.
upon the altar.
Yes.
And your peace offering.
And what's going to happen?
And I will accept
He's
you.
going to what?
Accept you.
He's going to do what?
Accept you.
He's going to accept us. Who's saying
Says
this?
the Lord God.
Boom.
Who said it was a higher?
Well, it says the Lord God, but we know it's going to be a higher. Yeshua is not going to accept us on the 8th day. Yeshua is going to be with us on the 8th day, and all things have to be accepted by the Father. We will only be accepted on the 8th day. You are no longer flesh and blood on the 8th day. 7, to purify ourselves. 5 virgins. 5 wise virgins. You are to purify. You are to get yourself ready. Get ready.
Kind of like Esther did when she was marrying, what's his name?
Somewhat like that. Get
She
ready.
spent a whole year being
On the
purified.
8th day, everybody will be transformed. You got to get ready. You have to do the things that the Shia tells you to do now. Get ready now.
Deliverance, healing.
Exodus chapter 12. Israel is a small part of the entire creation. But let's look at something that's overlooked. Yes, ma'am?
With what you just said, and with Jacob, right? With the 8th day also being represented when Jacob, when his name was changed, when he was called Israel, is that because, then he was accepted? If we're going to be accepted, we're going to be presented on the 8th day, and it goes back to even Jacob, and it went from, with Jacob to Israel. Was it like kind of symbolizing, like the Most High saying, I accept you? You know what I mean? Like,
No, because Ahia did not say, I'm going to change your name to Israel and I'm going to accept you. That was prior. That was beforehand. You're getting it. Jacob accepted Yeshua. That's why the second angel came down and with the 7 tablets.
Yeah.
Because Jacob accepted what Yeshua wanted him to do.
With the first.
With the first angel. First angel came and says, you are no longer Jacob, you are Israel. Yes!
And then he accepts.
Second angel come down, just like Yeshua has given us assignments to do.
Yeah.
Yeshua has given us things that we're supposed to do. Yeshua has given us prophecies to do. You say yes. Second angel comes down with wisdom. This is what's going to happen to you and to all your children. Yes. So Jacob had to accept what Yeshua had given him, just like we have to accept what
But
Yeshua has given us.
Jacob's name was changed to Israel after he fought with the angel.
Right, but I was reading the account in Jubilees.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading the account in Jubilees because Genesis does not
Yeah, the
have
whole story.
Genesis does not have what was mentioned about the angel and how did Jacob get an understanding of Genesis, the 49th chapter.
But if we look in Ezekiel 43 in the 26th chapter,
Yeah.
7 days shall they purge the altar and purify it. But we no longer have an altar with our bodies.
Yeah.
So what do?
This is it.
Healing, deliverance. We get
Yes.
purge of evil spirits,
Yes.
things like that. So
Yes.
when you have people that don't want to go through deliverance or healing, you know, when they reject Yeshua like that, your body is not being purged, it's not being purified.
You're fine, foolish virgins.
Yeah. So you have people that don't want to participate in deliverance, or people think that they don't need deliverance.
You're fine, foolish virgins.
This don't even pertain to you because you're not going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going somewhere.
Well, you won't be with Yeshua.
You're not going to like it where you end up. You're going somewhere.
You have people that feel like they don't need deliverance, or they won't go through it, and some people are scared. So.
Well, the scared you can deal with. You're scared, you can try to, you know, because of a lot of people are afraid of the spirit world. Well, you really don't have nothing to be afraid of, because if you know the scripture, you know that you have authority.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said it took only one angel to take down Satan. One angel. Satan's not all powerful, not all strong, not all being, not all anything. Satan is a archangel. That's it.
He wouldn't have had to get the third of the angels to go with him.
Right. He could have just wiped out everything. Let's go to Ezekiel. No, I'm sorry. We should be at Exodus, chapter 12, and we're reading verses 1 through 3. Let's read that.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel. The 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, to the house of their fathers a lamb for an house.
It's up to you. Verse 6. Let's read verse 6 and 7.
And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
All right, verse 7.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it.
Why did you do that? You did it because to show your faith. Just like Yeshua. Touch me not. Mary, okay. Thomas, put your hand here. Touch here. Lord, I believe. I don't have to do that. He's doing it to show your faith. Skip down to verse 12. And let's read verses 12 through 14.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. You shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Some people get confused and think that because it says forever, then that means that, oh, in the New Jerusalem, we're going to do the same thing. But wait a minute. In the New Jerusalem, where are you going to get blood?
And not only he said he make all things new, so all old things going to pass away.
That's because people don't read. They don't read. Put all the blood on the doorpost, kill the firstborn. That's what the Passover is about. It's a feast forever. Blood represents your faith. Now that forever, only 7 years, 7 days. The 8th day is outside of man's realm. So the 8th day has nothing to do with Passover. Nothing. Because on the 8th day, there will not be any blood. No blood on the 8th day. Everybody is going to be spiritual beings. Spiritual beings, i.e., angels, have blood.
Death was tossed in the lake of fire.
Devil's gone. Bye-bye. Death is gone. Bye-bye. Death cannot be in the midst of a higher. Let's stay in Exodus 12. Let's read 29.
Verse. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said.
He said, go and serve the Lord. Shia got their attention. The other plagues, maybe not so, but he got their attention on this one. Let's look at something, because this is the start of the 8th day. Joshua chapter 4, verse 19. Yeshaya gives us an example, another example of the 8th day before that day happens, so you can get an understanding on what he is trying to do. Let's read Joshua chapter 4, verse 19.
Joshua chapter 4, verse 19. And the people came up out of Jordan on the day of the first month and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho.
All right, so you did the blood over the lampposts and the lintels. They just entered into the promised land here. Just entered into the promised land. So now let's see the example of the 8th. We're going to go over to the next chapter, Joshua chapter 2, and let's read verses 1 through 11. Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. Joshua 5, verses 1 through 11. And let's read that.
Joshua chapter 5, verse 1. And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel until we were passed over, that their heart melted. Neither was there a spirit in them anymore because of the children of Israel. At that time the Lord said unto Joshua, Make these sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time.
He said, circumcise again. Verse 3.
And Joshua made sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt.
All of them died in the wilderness. They did not get to enter into Yeshua's rest. Verse 5.
Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not circumcised.
They had not been circumcised. Verse 6.
For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness. So all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord.
They obeyed not the voice of the Lord. So those 5 foolish virgins knocking, they did not enter into his rest, the promised land. Keep going.
Unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land, which the Lord swore unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey.
We read the same thing in Hebrews. They were not able to enter into his rest. Verse 7.
And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way.
They were not circumcised. They were circumcised before entering the promised land. Verse 8.
And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp, till they were whole. And the Lord said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you.
Listen to what he is saying. This day I rolled the reproach of Egypt off of you. Wherefore, read that.
Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day.
We need to look up what Gilgal means. Strong's Concordance.
Gilgal. Strong's number is H1537. A wheel rolling.
A wheel rolling. He rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off of you. You were circumcised. What happens to that? It's rolled off of you. Look at verse 10.
And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day.
This is a look at the 8th-day feast. Why? Because that flesh was turned anew. Your flesh will be turned anew. That old flesh died. Just like with the booths, that those branches and boughs died. And what came out? A new person. What happened here? That old doctrine of Egypt, Yeshua rolled it off of them. And they came into the promised land new. Look at what it says. Look at what the book says.
This has some 3 questions.
What?
Read them.
I can't see that.
It says, I thought Gilgatha meant the place of the skull.
Okay, so no, that's Golgotha. Wrong one.
No, go ahead.
It says, where Goliath was slain, and the cross crushed his skull.
I think you're confused. Read the Strong's Concordance for Gilgal. 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 Not Golgotha. Read that again. Strong's Concordance.
Strong's number for Gilgal is
Gilgal. Read that.
H1537.
Yep.
A wheel rolling.
Keep reading. What does it say about it at the bottom?
It says the same as H1536, Gilgal, the name of 3 places in Palestine. The first site of an Israelite camp west of the Jordan, east of Jericho. Here Samuel was judge and Saul was made king, later used for illicit worship.
Don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I don't know what the question is. Yes, ma'am.
So when you were explaining that with these accounts, when we're transforming, it's the 8th day, right? We're going to go from like flesh and blood to spiritual beings, and there's going to be no blood within the day. So here, right, we see through the account of the circumcision here, the account with circumcision, the account with sacrifices and so on. It's all represented by blood, right? Like every covenant that we come into, and it's towards getting us closer to salvation, to everlasting life, in a spiritual sense, to be with the Most High in Yeshua. And
knowledge is
it's
very good.
It's like a so there's no blood.
Because it's the same thing with the blood the male is circumcised in how many days?
In 7 days.
No,
On the 8th
the
day.
8th day.
Yeah.
And then with the woman, since we don't get circumcised, so when a virgin woman,
7 days.
not the menstrual, because that considers to be unclean. When a woman's supposed to have intercourse, first she and the hymen is broken.
Uh-huh.
What is that? That's blood.
It's with the covenant, and even children being born into, like the woman, everything, like they.
I don't know about children being born.
Well, I mean,
because when the Bible talks about the menstrual, it saying unclean.
So we were the 7 days, right? So like you're unclean, and then on the 8th, it's like you're done with the being uncleanliness in your body, getting all of that, like out of you, and then.
No, because when you have a baby, you have your cycle longer than
the 7
8
days.
days. 7 days.
Well, the Bible, when it talks about the menstrual period of the woman, it's only the menstrual period of the woman. It's not talking about, after birth.
Oh, okay.
Because after birth, we know the body does.
Heal.
Right.
Right. But the normal cycle for a woman is 7 days. Then the 8th day.
That's why Bathsheba was on that roof.
Right.
On that 8th day.
Right.
And King David saw it. He was like, yum.
Right. So this has a spiritual meaning. The circumcision represents the rolling away of our flesh and blood body. Gilgal means to roll away. And that's what Yeshua is trying to get us. Let's go to Numbers 33 and we're reading verses 1 through 3. The 8th day is symbolic to the rolling away of our flesh. Our blood bodies, excuse me, our blood bodies, which everyone has, on the 8th day, the Father comes down with the New Jerusalem. There'll be no more flesh and blood, only spirit. Some will go to the New Jerusalem, but the majority going to the lake which burn of fire and brimstone. Let's see, Numbers chapter 33, verses 1 through 8, and then we're going to get back to Joshua.
Numbers chapter 33, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And Moses wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandment of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And these are their journeys according to their going out.
Mm-hmm.
And they departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians.
All right, now let's see something. Let's go back to Joshua chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 12 and 13. All right, let's get that.
Joshua chapter 5, verse 12. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn on the land.
Mm-hmm.
Neither hath the children of Israel manna any more,
Mm-hmm.
but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Joshua went over unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries?
Very good question, Joshua. Right? Circumcise, get rid of the flesh and blood. Enter into the promised land. Let's stay in Joshua 5, and let's finish this up with verses 14 and 15.
Verse 14, and he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come.
Mm-hmm.
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship,
Mm-hmm.
and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant?
What saith my Lord unto his servant? Right? Verse 15.
And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so.
Didn't he tell that to Moses at the burning bush? Everything has a purpose Everything has a reason. Moses was to take the people out of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua was to take people into the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
In order to do so, they had to what is the word that I'm looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Submit.
And I guess that makes sense because remember with the story with Ruth and Naomi and Boaz,
Mm-hmm.
and the kingsman had to take off one of his shoes
Mm-hmm.
and give to Boaz, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to submit to Boaz
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't take Ruth as a wife, or he didn't take the land and all that. So he submitted it, yeah. Something like that.
The 8th represents resurrection, regeneration, new beginning. And it will be a new beginning in the New Jerusalem.
He said he make all things new. So that has to happen. That 8th day has
I
to happen.
cannot drink of the wine until I drink it with you anew. On the 8th day, our Father's kingdom, our higher, everybody who is worthy of salvation will be God.
You mean tell me, Billy,
Flesh and blood will be done away. Creation will be finished. It will be over. This is the greatest day of all.
Oh, praises.
That's the 8th day. So Thursday, we have Revelation. That'll finish our Thursday Bible studies. Friday, imitate Yeshua. That will finish behavior and mannerisms. Next Shabbat, we have a wedding that starts at 2 p.m. Feast of Dedication is November 26th through the 3rd. Winter Holy Day is the 2nd through the 3rd. Our deliverance services will start October 14th. We will start deliverance service on Friday nights. October 15th is the Children's Law, and that's not live stream. We will have that at noon. That's it. Any questions on the 8th day? Now you see why it's the second most holiest. Or hopefully you do. If not, oh well. That's going to go down, but not on the holy days. We don't go to sundown on the holy days. So, oh, by the way, when we resume on the Shabbat after the wedding, our Shabbat lessons are going to be on the spirit world. We're going to go back and revisit those. Then in November to whenever, we're going to be in doctrine. And I really do believe that we really need to know in time. We really need to know that. Get some understanding on where we're at with end times and the prophecies.
But also we're just reading to understand, because I believe when I was in Christianity, nobody couldn't have told me that I didn't read that Thomas actually stuck his hand in Yeshua's, wounds.
No, he did not.
But he didn't. But in Christianity, for some reason, when they read it, I thought he actually did it.
Because maybe that's the NIV. Or not even the NIV. That's what Christians, that's what they do.
That Christianity, how you think you're going through the Mandela? I thought I read that.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
Right.
And that's why I brought it up. Because I know it's a lot of us at some point in here within that Christianity doctrine. And I know we thought that he actually put his hand, yeah?
Right.
That's why I brought it up.
Bible says, study to show thyself approved.
Not only that, but he's like, okay, come here, touch me then. And then he told Mary, don't touch me.
Right.
Even the difference there.
Why?
So like, do you
But
believe me or not? And
was he really gonna allow
No.
Thomas to touch him? No.
No, because he didn't even.
Well, not only that, I mean, the thing
Somebody
is
was
that
It was the testing of his faith.
right. That's
And
what
we still go through that to this day.
right. Yes, we do. All right. We got a comment on the chat.
Oh,
What it say?
The first one is Kyle says, "What time is the Bible study on Thursday and Friday?"
Thursdays 8 p.m. Fridays 7 p.m.
But next Thursday is our last one for now.
Right.
So we'll be starting Fridays at 7 p.m.
Right.
Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
What's the other one?
Kyle also says, "I had a pastor try to use Hebrews chapter 4 verse 11 as a means to not celebrate the Sabbath. A good amount of Christians do."
Hebrews 4. Let's see what her pastor said on Hebrews 4 and 11. Let's see what kind of spin doctor he is.
Hebrews chapter 4 verse 11 says, "Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief."
What that have to do with the Sabbath?
Wow.
That means you're supposed to be working on the Sabbath?
Enter into his rest. That has nothing to do. That has everything to do with the 8-day feast. Oh, these wacky Christians, they're something else. All right. That's going to finish our lesson for today. I know everybody is, these holy days, they wear you out, but you know what? All praises. Yeah, that's going to be quick. I say 20 minutes. We'll speed through that one. You like him? Yeah. You like him? Yeah. Married. Bye. All right, and yes, the wedding will be live streamed. So therefore, you'll know what an Israelite wedding should be like, and not the cha-cha slide.
We started at 2.
All right, so if you've enjoyed the lesson, found it educational, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification. I'll let you know we go live. So we'll see you Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Revelation Kwam Yashara.
Kwam Yashara.